Why you won't become rich in crypto. Now, are you in crypto to make massive wealth? Well, you are in exactly the right place, and you're actually here at the exact right time. But the title of this video is not incorrect. Crypto won't make you rich. Now, this might sound contradictory, and it isn't. What will make you rich is if, and I say if, because many won't go this way, if you become a savage, skilled investor in the crypto space. These savage investment skills will continue to pay out the rest of your whole life. Because if you get really good at investment, well, this crypto window might last another 5 or 6 years where the gains are just massively huge as it gets worldwide adoption. But after that, the gains will somewhat normalize. Now, notice I didn't say becoming a skilled trader. Most day traders or even week-to-week traders don't make good money over time. All the rich that I know that made it through crypto did it from buying good projects and holding them for the right amount of time. And sometimes that period is 3 years. Now, your next question might be, what is the right amount of time to expect that you will get rich? Well, that always depends on exactly where we are in time. You see, crypto has a 4-year cycle. And every 4 years since its early days, it has gone parabolic the year after the Bitcoin halving. Now, that would mean next year, prices are going to go crazy. And we've already seen some of the lead up to that, though many crypto prices are still relatively low. So if you came here for life-changing gains, and some of you here for life-changing gains, you could not be in a better place. But what now? Remember, to become rich, you need to become a savage, skilled crypto investor. You're looking to become like a Navy SEAL of crypto investing, and that takes work and effort. Now, most won't put in the time and the effort, or they don't have the patience it requires to become really good at the thing that they're hoping that will make them rich. Here are some of the things you will want to understand in order to become a savage, skilled investor. First, how to sift away the 90%, maybe even 95% of crypto projects that just have bad odds and are far less likely to do well than other good projects. You'll also want to understand how to stack the odds in your favor by buying a good project, and especially at a good price. You want to understand, what does a good project look like? What does a bad project look like? Which narratives have better chances of catching traction than other narratives? You want to understand how to have patience, even when 95% of the people are calling what you are holding and buying complete shit. You want to understand how to recognize when you're on the right path, but also when you are not. Now, this is where the game is, and this is what successful blockchain investors learn and become good at. And this is also what most that come into crypto never become good at. And so that is why most won't become rich in crypto. Now, there are some that are going to be somewhat lucky. If they're deploying capital right now into the crypto market, chances are they're going to make some gains. A rising tide lifts all boats, or almost all boats, because some meme coin boats are going to sink, even in this rising tide. But most projects that aren't scams will float, even if they are shit during this next year, because massive money is going to come in like crazy, and it'll be thrown around like candy at a parade. For those that are super serious, and only those that are super serious, join my private Discord by joining my Patreon and connecting up to the Discord. Here's what I've seen. Those who stick around and research and dollar cost average during the bear market become worth 100K to 8 million that following bull cycle, depending on how much they put in and the choices that they made. Individual results absolutely vary, as some people are better than others at these principles, and some have more money to deploy as well. What is the number one way to stick around during the bear market? Well, I know some of you that are here, you're also in the private Patreon and you've been with me for 3 years. Those that have joined my private Patreon and have connected up to the Discord and became active in the Discord, we saw an 87% retention rate of them through the bear market, as well as interaction with all the other Rainmaker family. And you do also get access there to special things that you really only know about if you're in there. And well, let's just say your odds of doing way better are exceptionally better. But it does come with a catch. For now, the monthly access to the private Discord through the Patreon is $20 a month for the entry level. Now, in the coming bull market, their prices in crypto are going to go up. Prices in the Discord, I'm also going to raise that, except for those who have joined at the $20 a month. As long as you keep that active, you keep that price. Think of it as Rainmaker tuition. Now, do you need this? No. But why wouldn't you if you're absolutely serious about your future? Because if you are, you will want to. On average, it's going to take you 5 years of learning, becoming better, making some mistakes, and making some successes as well during that time. And you can become really good at this. As you become really good at this, the gains amplify and you make more money than you probably right now would believe is possible. You'll be surrounding yourself with a network of people who have already put in years at this point at becoming good at this. And no, you become the 5 people you spend most of your time around. That's why if you're completely serious about making it rich in crypto, then this is what you've been looking for. Now, of course, you can just watch my YouTube videos for free and lots of other content creators. I give out tons of good info completely free here on YouTube. But there are exclusives in our private Discord, as well as a community that will help you become much better, where you will be choosing to put yourself on a better path. Now, choosing free and choosing occasionally YouTube videos feels safer, but joining a community that is becomes your friends and your family that are also on this route, that is actually the much safer route, because crypto is a savage place. And to really master it, you'll have to become a savage investor yourself. Now, the good news is the next 5 years in crypto is going to be amazing. And that next 5 years is going to happen whether or not you're on board correctly. I hope you are, because it is going to go much better for you if you are. Now, the coming 12 to 15 months, well, they're going to be like a rocket. You're seeing a little bit of that already. So I hope your seatbelt is fastened and you are buckled up. We are live. So let me jump to the comments. Abe says, first like, just closed my umbrella. I'm ready to feel the rain. God bless rain. Thank you guys. Howdy. Adrian says, greetings. Devo Kyle. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I love rain. Thank you for joining. Thanks for the kind words. Dutch homie, let it rain. Let's make it rain on those like buttons from Bill Gardner. Thank you, Bill. Look, I'm excited for what this coming year is bringing. I've been puzzled somewhat. I started in crypto in 2017. I thought everyone that was joining with me at that time, we were all going to become rich. Now, I joined midway through the bull market, and I hadn't figured out that there was a 4-year cycle in crypto. So I joined early enough that I made some really good gains. And about $15,000 turned into $165,000, $170-ish thousand, which then over the coming months turned into about $3,000 because I didn't understand the 4-year cycle. But during that bear market, I kept researching, learning, realizing that this technology was going to change the world in many ways because blockchain essentially upgrades what the internet can do. And so I realized we were onto something big, but I didn't yet know what I was doing, and I was learning. But during that bear market, as I researched, I realized there's a somewhat predictable 4-year pattern here that's absolutely crazy. And I knew patterns a little bit because real estate has a cycle. Now, the cycle in real estate is much, much longer. Sometimes it's 17 to about 22 years in length from a major top to the next major top. But cryptos is much more condensed every 4 years, and that's a beautiful thing. Another beautiful thing that makes crypto so special is the incredible volatility, which means the price swings go massively down, but then can go, if you're in good projects, massively up. And those massively up, if you've been buying when it was massively down, that's when you get the kind of gains that you can't get anywhere else. I mean, I was talking to a lady today, and she bought some XRP a couple of years ago, and she's like, what should I do with it? And I told her, look, I don't hold a lot of XRP. I hold a little bit, but at some point, XRP is going to become the financial rails of Japan, Europe, and probably the US. And it's going to go up massively. And she's like, should I hold it? And it's like, she's not really into crypto. She doesn't really know what she's doing. For her case, it's probably just better for her to hold it rather than actively trying to figure out what's going on. And she's just very, very passive. So I was like, that's not a bad strategy at all. It's just hold it. Now, a better strategy would be for her to get active and figure out what's going on. But she's pretty into her career and other things. And the truth is, it takes a lot of dedication to become really good at this. And the way, even when you're really good at this, that you make the majority of money is you're making really good picks during the bear market, and you're just holding them till the bull market. So what I shared with her was just kind of a modified version of that for the time that she was putting in. She was already in a decent project. Now, I don't hold a lot of XRP myself because it's hard for me to tell when XRP is really going to boom. Maybe it coincides with this coming bull market. What I'm hoping for is it coincides later so that I can roll some of my gains into XRP. But XRP could run earlier. It could run medium term. It could run long term. I'm hoping it's long term because I do believe in that project, in what XRP is doing, but it's less predictable for me. And I try to go in projects that I think are really going to pop with this coming bull market. And there's other ones I just feel like I have a better feel on. Chago says, good afternoon, Rain. Dino says, let's make it rain. Got my seeds planted for this bull run. I love hearing that. Bean Tech, hey, what's going on, brother? So a little bit of context, right? So I remember being new in crypto, and I remember going through a period. I came in October. I was trying to figure out what was going on, and there was this project that everyone was talking about called IOTA. Now, they had an ICO for IOTA, and the ICO price of IOTA, I was able to find it right here. What was the ICO price of IOTA? And it looks like it was 0.0179 cents. So 50 of those, almost like maybe 60 of those for a penny. Now, how did IOTA do? Well, for a while, didn't do much. You find CoinMarketCap started tracking it here, but it had some price history before that. So this is 6/25/2017. That was after the ICO had been released. But look at this. Once it started tracking it, that's at 67 cents. So you get about 60 of them for a penny. So that means times that by 100, and for $1, you would have 6,000 of them. And it's now worth 60 cents. So for every dollar that you invested in the ICO of IOTA, you would have what, $3,600, and that's before it went crazy. It went all the way to like $5. But IOTA, people said, was a failed project prior to this, and it wasn't the token, blah, 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 and it wasn't going to make it, and it was terrible, and it was horrible. But when altcoins took off, which it kind of started climbing up the ramp in June, and then later, a lot of altcoins went absolutely crazy in November, December, some of them in January. And it just absolutely went parabolic. Although these gains from 35 cents to $5 don't look that crazy. That is somewhat crazy. That's a 10x. The real gains came from buying earlier when everyone said it was crap and it was never going to survive. Now, you'll note it didn't do as well the following bull run as it had the prior. And this is what you see when the narrative isn't really catching on and it's not making it happen. Now, in the early days of crypto, when they were starting to figure out smart contracts and other things that the internet could do, there was this big narrative called the Internet of Things. Well, that narrative never really hit during the following bull market because more traction went to other things. And the Internet of Things wasn't really catching on. It wasn't getting government approval and adoption, which it would have needed to really catch on. Now, the reason I brought up IOTA was this was one of the major gainers in 2017's bull market. But if I were able to go back and find you articles about it in March and February and January of 2017, they all would have been bearish. Like, this is never going to happen and blah, blah, blah. And oh, the team didn't do this and didn't do that. And that's how it frequently happens for projects. Even ones that later become huge, and you then think, oh, they were always going to make it. Big one I like to bring up is Cardano. Cardano is one that in itself, it made me over $1 million. And I was buying it during the bear market. And I started accumulating here at 11 cents, right about here. So 2018, I started accumulating Cardano. And unfortunately for me, 11's, I guess, fortunately for me, whoops, it's not showing that the whole time. My apologies, guys. It's showing the charts now. Unfortunately for me, it's fortunate for me. I started buying at 11 cents. But guess what happened from that 11-cent price? It went even cheaper. And so for a long time, it looked like, well, let's just say all the haters were saying how dumb I was for continuing to buy Cardano. Cardano's a failed project. Cardano's doesn't even have its testnet live. It's never going to have a mainnet. They've missed every timeline they're supposed to have. The project team sucks. Blah, 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 blah. Now, you look back and you're like, Cardano's one of the biggest blockchains out there. How could anyone ever have fudded it? Yeah, it feels like that now. But back then, the future wasn't known. And so a lot of people were doubtful. Though if you look closer, yes, they were way behind on all their timelines, but they were steadily hitting them. And so I was just accumulating like crazy. And look at this. It went all the way. It doesn't even show it. But at this point, it actually went to 1.7 cents. Really cheap. I was able to pick up a bunch more at 3 cents. But I bought all the way down. And so there was a lot of people at this point just essentially laughing at me. Oh my gosh, Rain, you're so dumb. Why are you buying that stupid Cardano project? Oh my gosh, Cardano's never going to become worth anything. Blah, 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 blah. Look at what a terrible investor you are. You put in $50,000 and it's worth about $5,000. Oh my gosh, you're really, really bad. Cool. It did. It went down for a long time before it then went up. And eventually went up and did incredibly well. You find those exact same comments made today by very different people who are somewhat new to crypto and definitely new to investing, and they think they know something, and they just don't. One of my favorite projects that still hasn't pumped yet, and a lot of people think that that's a terrible thing. It's just a sign that OMI is never going to survive. And they just don't know what they're talking about. So OMI has gone nothing but down. So in their minds, they're like, that's a sign that OMI's never going to make it. Oh my gosh. OMI's a rug pull. The people that say that right there tells me that their education level in investing is really, really low. Because they don't know the difference between what a rug pull is and what a failed company is. And neither of those are true. They could try to make the case that VeVe essentially, or OMI, it's a failed company and the company's not going to make it. But a rug pull means they pulled the rug out from you. And I guess they could be saying, well, VeVe used the OMI token sale to raise funds that then helped them start VeVe, but now they're just focusing on VeVe and they'll never come back around to do OMI. And maybe they're right on that. I would give it about a 0.1% chance that they're right on that. Why? Well, first of all, the founders of VeVe have like 30 billion tokens in OMI each. So if OMI goes to 10 cents, they're billionaires. They also have, so not only do they have a strong incentive for OMI to do well, they can't talk about OMI doing well without the current chairman of the SEC making it his personal mission to sink a big company like this that has partnerships with Disney and other things, or at least go after them and extract a massive fine by determining that they're a security. So are they right about OMI? Well, I think OMI's got a good future. Now, I asked one of my good friends to join today because he's got a history of making smart investments. And that's actually very unusual. Most people, when they're new at investing, their instincts are off and they don't, or their instincts are right, but they don't have the patience to wait it out. Now, what's funny about this person is that their background isn't necessarily investing. It's not necessarily economics. They spent some time in the military and other things, but their instinct had the ability to see where trends were going to go. And then he went all in on each of these different ones. And so I'm going to have him share a little bit about what he thinks about why is he going in on this token, this crypto project that's done nothing but go down for 3 years. Everyone, make it rain on that like button. Help me welcome the real Randy Chavez to the show. Randy, thanks for joining us, brother.
How's it going? How you doing?
Fantastic. So what's funny is when I first met you and I was like, your history, I find when most people are newer in investing, their instincts guide them to FOMO in and panic sell out at the bottom. But I found it so interesting that you went in sequentially to a few different things when they were highly being flooded. Yet you went against the trend and then you held them till they did really well and then you sold them, which I was like, that's unusual that somebody just instinctually knows and does that. So what are some of the different investments you went into and then rolled into and then rolled into and then came over to OMI, and why come over to OMI?
Yeah, sure. So it started with high risk lending, where we would take our funds that we had personally and we would lend them out to business owners throughout the entire US. CONUS and OCONUS, you had some in Alaska and some in Hawaii. Hawaii was great for grocery stores and stuff. But what that taught me is that, one, just how business owners think. There's like a Venn diagram of them with business owners, successful people, and there's a large swath that they share. And it's that one of the things that I learned is that you don't always get to work on the problems that you want to work on. You have to go in and work on the problems that you need to work on, putting out fires everywhere. And that was true with every single business owner. If every single business owner had workers that had either part of the company or was vested in the success of the company like themselves, no business would go out of business. But it's really hard to find people that will work for you. You're not going to find someone that's going to work as hard for you as you, but you can find some people that are close, some people that get it, that say like, hey, the harder I work, the more jobs that we get, that is job security. A lot of people don't get that, but some people do. And then you start seeing what they're doing and it's like, okay, you learn what companies will fly. You learn by looking at bank statements on what on their history. Okay, this person is spending most of their money on the goods and needs of the business. And then this person is using their funds at an ATM in Vegas. And it's like, okay, which one's likely going to survive? Which one's not? So you get to know the good qualities of CEO.
So your time
and
at
then that
high risk
kind of went into
Tesla.
lending. Also, I can't hear you. You're on.
Oh, shoot. Am I on mute or something?
Maybe. I don't know why. There's a play button here. Press speaking again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So your background in high risk lending taught you how to evaluate companies essentially, and then see which companies were successful and not successful.
Yes, definitely to tell which CEO like that they're going to make this work. And you could have somebody with a really good business, and you could have someone that is absolutely all about their work, but then in like those 1% or like 0.1% instances, the wife gets sick or this person breaks their leg or like something happens that's a black swan event for them. And, kind of like COVID was for a lot of people, where The government's telling you that you can't work, and some businesses that probably should have survived did not.
So you actually had a time period where you were working in this industry and you got to do nothing essentially, but not only evaluate companies, but then see if they paid back their loans, which then told you whether they were successful as a company. And you did that for a number of years, which taught you about evaluating companies.
Yes. And that most of those companies, they maybe grossed 30 to 50 grand a month. Now, obviously that's not what they're netting. That's just what they're grossing. But every now and then you would get some companies that are like, hey, we're doing like 20 million a year. And that gets you into investing in big companies. And then, that's when you look at stocks like, hey, some of these companies, they probably could be listed on the NASDAQ. They're not, they're private. And that when I first started getting into stocks, my friend Dan had said like, hey, try these ones, it's Uber, Facebook, FANG, all these different ones. And Tesla was one of them. And he's like, you should put like, 10 or 20% of your portfolio, like in these particular companies, the S&P. And I looked at like the average returns of the S&P in each of these companies. And I was like, okay, well, the S&P gives you like 9 to 11% each year, maybe keeping up with rate of inflation. But some of these high tech growth companies, like you want to be in a company that has high margins. You want to be in a company that has, which VeVe is, their margins are insane. Anything in tech is, because it's scalable. Anyone that, let's say, like bakes a cake, yeah, you could hire multiple bakers or multiple chefs in order to make that, but you're still limited to space. You're limited to how much that you can do. But if you make chips or if you make video games, like you hit that print button. You hit that print button and you get just not an unlimited amount. You get to satisfy the needs of the market. And if you're a really popular pizza place or a really popular, place where someone can consume food, one, you have like 30% margins, and two, you can only satisfy the people within your general area. But if you have something that can go worldwide and you don't have to ship it, you don't have to worry about any of these logistics that have to go. Like right now, there's people that are going to strike on the port, which they did during COVID. And now anyone that has a trucking company, anyone that gets any of these stuff from ports, they're going to have a really rough time this next month or so. But VeVe doesn't have to worry about that because they're not shipping anything in.
So that's one of the things that brought you to VeVe. But when you were doing high risk lending, you went all in, and I think the first thing you went all in on was Pokemon cards. Right?
Yes, that was one of them.
And why were you going all in on a collectible that, like, looking back now, everyone's like, oh, of course they went really big, but that wasn't a known thing back then. They had just kind of been doing okay for a while, and you went all in during that it's just going okay period before it then went parabolic. How did you know that parabolic thing was coming?
Sometimes you get lucky in which things happen in the field that you're an expert in. It almost never happens to people, but for me, like, this is something that I had grown up with. I had followed the sales of cards, and I had followed just Pokemon in general for forever, since its inception, since I was a kid. And when I was deployed in 2016, Pokemon Go came out. And obviously I was following that. And then the sales of the cards, you see like the sales of these cards, which back in the day, like 2009, 2012, like before I joined the military, you could have a first edition PSA 10 Charizard, a couple $100s, and it might take a couple weeks to move that. But suddenly it's going for like, thousands of dollars. And then it's like, okay, this is, and they're going pretty quickly. I didn't have the money at that time to really get in. But then in Pokemon, you just see it's not necessarily like a bull or a bear market. They really just view it as peaks and valleys. 2016 was a big peak. 2018 was a big valley because Pokemon Go had kind of worn off. And I was able to get these things that I saw, first edition PSA 10 holos, that were like 3-4x the price, 2 years prior. And nothing had fundamentally changed about the cards. It's not like Pokemon can go to Wizards of the Coast and say, hey, you need to print more of these first edition cards. There was just a set amount. So I saw like the rarity, the scarcity in some of these, and there were mathematical equations that said, hey, this is the PSA 10 sells for 5 to X what the PSA 9 was selling for. And, you could make judgments based on that. So I started buying them, and then they slowly started going up. And then Justin Bieber got in. And then these celebrities were buying them. And Ariana Grande has a tattoo of an Eevee on her. And it's just suddenly all of these people that grew up with it they started having adult money, and I was like, okay, I see where this is going. So I started flipping all the things that I knew were undervalued. And then the big thing in 2020, when everyone was getting those $1,200 checks, what I saw the most is that most people's collecting is the same. You buy what you liked as a kid, and then that tears off and you go to either a certain Pokemon, a certain trainer, or a certain set, and a decent amount went into trophy cards, the high-end stuff. And there's only very, very few of those. So when I saw all of these cards, like first edition base set or jungle fossil, whatever it was, they did like a 6 to 10x, and the trophy cards did not move at all. It's the same thing, like, okay, Bitcoin's going up here and your altcoin is staying down here. That money is going to flow into alts at some point, like this money coming in from these first edition base set cards going into trophies. So I spent a record deal of $80,000 on one card called Trophy Kangaskhan. And I got that in the middle of 2020, and less than 1 year later, I sold it for $279 because I knew that's where it was going.
So you went huge on a big bet, and then you sold it at the top. So your instincts were 2018, it's a valley, things are down, I'm going to start accumulating. In 2020, you're able to strike a deal as momentum starting to go up and get this big deal. So then you decide to sell out in 2021, and you rolled that money into Tesla. Now, 2021 was an interesting year for Tesla. At the time, the values of their stock hadn't really gone up because they weren't showing profit. What most people were saying at the time was they weren't profitable, but it's better to be saying they weren't showing profit. How'd you know to go into Tesla when everybody was fudding on them at the time and saying it was stupid? And Cathie Woods was going in and people said she was crazy and dumb. And you were going in on Tesla and people said it's overvalued. The earnings aren't very high. They're not showing a profit, and they've been in place for like 10 years and no profits, blah, blah, blah. And yet you went all in. Why? That's crazy.
So in politics, when like a celebrity comes out for like your favorite politician, it's nice because, oh, this person believes the same thing I'm in. And the more politicians you have in your camp, or the more celebrities or notable people you have in your camp of politician, usually the better it is. And I think that's a little silly because, what do some of these celebrities really know about socioeconomics? They know about foreign policy. The same thing happens with investing. You can't just follow sentiment and say like, oh, sentiment's really bad. You have to look deeper than that. Like Rafiki telling Simba, look harder. Why are these people saying this? And look at the type of people that are saying it. So from 2013 to 2019, yeah, Tesla traded sideways for 6 years. People are like, OMI's been trading down and sideways for 3 years. It's fine. Some of us have been here before. And you take a look at the thesis of the company. They continuously made new cars, they made new gigafactories, and they would be profitable. They would be showing a profit had they not done that, but they're taking their profits and reinvesting in the company. So for a lot of stocks, I typically don't like stuff that gives you like dividends. Well, a lot of people do is, oh, it's free money every month. But that really just tells me the company tends to not know what to do with those funds. Tesla immediately knows what to do. It's like your body. Your body might not know what to do with the sugar from a Pop-Tart, but it immediately knows what to do with the sugar from an apple. So you see all these people that are fudding the Tesla Q, the Tesla Fudsters, and they weren't really successful. They were, some of them had like okay jobs, but never really in investing. My friend Vinny always used to say, if you want what someone has, do what they do, and one day you'll have what they have. Mm-hmm. So when you look at other people that were like Sandy Munro was like a top engineer, and he would buy every single new Tesla that came out, completely break it down and say like, I have no idea how they did this. So the engineering is insane. And he looked at the group of people that they had, like Tesla and SpaceX were the top 1 and 2 companies every year to get that most engineers applied to. They were the top 1 and 2 companies. So they were getting their pick of the litter on new intelligent people coming into the workforce. You had Cathie Woods. So all of these really intelligent people that want to work for these companies, that want to invest for these companies, that's where I wanted my money to go. So obviously Elon's one of the smartest people on the planet.
You were
And then
looking.
the people that are fudding, the people that are calling crap on it, they're usually not anywhere in life where I'd want to be. Usually. So that's kind of my answer, and why I went all in 2020.
In other words, you were doing research and you could see these fundamentals were going good for it. They're getting the top talent in the whole engineering space. They're not profitable because they're reinvesting their own money. So it's not that they're not profitable. They're actually making tons of profits, but they're reinvesting all that. So it doesn't show profits. So it looks like they're operating at a loss because they built a whole new plant and they built another plant and they built new battery technology and they did all these different things. So it seems like they're not profitable, yet they're growing like this. Now, some of the top talent in the world, and you're like, oh man, at some point this is going to take off. I'm seeing all the right building blocks.
And one of the other things was being first to market. Now, for being first to market doesn't always work, because if you're too early, then you might overextend yourself. And then what other companies can do is they could follow in your footsteps. But because of the talent, because of the innovation that they had, and everything being vertically integrated, the people that were second and third and fourth, like they had to deal with less talent. They had to deal with people tried to build an electric car, whereas Elon Musk and Tesla built a computer with wheels, with over-the-air software updates, they had the most information with them. That information is key. Every single mile that a Tesla drives is logged, and that's great for their full self-driving. We have so much information on VeVe because they know what people buy, they know how much they spend on it, and they know what it is in the secondary market. Oh, I missed it, I'll buy it in the secondary market, or I missed it and I'm just not going to buy it. The amount of data that VeVe has is probably more important, as important, if not more, than the amount of money that they make, because now they know how to make it in the future. And again, they have the most IP. So if I'm an IP, where do I want to go? Do I want to go to X platform where they have a fraction of the users and a fraction of the IP? Like, there's no reason to go there. You want to go with VeVe because that's the major shopping mall. All of the other companies that do digital collectibles are the mom and pop shops of your small town, and VeVe is like the super mall that comes in and wipes all the other mom and pop shops out, because they have so much there, typically at a better price, typically for higher resale value. And again, when you're making that money, that has a token that's attached to this, which we just got a new co-CEO of from Binance. Like, this is the top talent, and this is the top IP. This is silly. These prices are silly.
Yeah, but they're that OMI's a rug pull, right? Like look at this. Their price, let me share it, is way down. So they must be a rug pull, because I don't know. I'm brand new at crypto, but if the price goes way down like this, I think that means it's a rug pull, right? Because like, if they weren't a rug pull, their price would just go up and up and up and not go down for 3 years. I mean, sure, I'm a new investor and I don't know things like, oh, wow, this is Bitcoin, so Bitcoin must be a rug pull too. Because look at this, it went way up, but then, gosh, the founders pulled the rug out from everyone, because the price, they must have, because the price went way down to like 15,000 after being at 65,000. Oh, whoops, forgot to look at, sometimes things go up after they go down.
Yeah.
I'm being a little bit facetious. There's a lot of people arguing that OMI's dead, and they just don't know very much yet about investing. They're new to investing. And they're kind of like an 18-year-old that thinks they understand the world, and they understand high school and junior high, but they do not understand the world. And so, their voices are sometimes the loudest. And if you listen to them, you'll probably regret it.
Agreed. Bring up the flow chart for a sec. You do it on the same website, and then just obviously remember the chart that you see right there for OMI, and then do the same thing for Flow. And now Flow's in the top 100. Flow's a $1 billion, market cap. Obviously having NFL All Day, NBA Top Shots, UFC Strike, and more. And that's the same. That's the same thing. That's the same chart. But again, Flow's in the top 100. What's the main difference? I mean, the main difference is
a rug pull too. Because if it weren't a rug pull, it would have gone up by now, right? Just kidding. That people using that term, like there are rug pulls in crypto, and there are people that launch a project and they don't really have an intent to build it. And once they raise a bunch of funds by launching the project, they pull the rug out from everyone and despair. A lot of that happens with meme coins and some of the coins that launch on the dexes, and they provide some liquidity. They launch a token, try to get a bunch of influencers to shill it, and then they pull a rug out from under them. Flow is actually a legitimate company, and their chart looks just like a 4-year cycle chart. During 2021, they did incredibly well. And since we're not yet there at the 4 years, well, we can only see the year, but I'm going to guess that 2025 is going to be a record year for them. And you'll see this nice uptick, kind of like you saw with, well, this doesn't show it the best. Let me go back to an IOTA chart because it doesn't show the full history of IOTA there. But let me pull up, and it's not that this quite shows the full history, it just shows more of it. IOTA is an example that its second cycle wasn't as good as the first because they didn't really catch on and get traction, and they didn't have customers, they didn't have people using the technology. So even then though, look how even then they weren't getting traction, they had no customers. They went down for, oh my gosh, 3 years. What a rug pull. And even though they didn't do incredible, they did go from 30 cents to $2.40. So they did a nice 8x. And that was a project that wasn't getting any traction, wasn't getting any new users, any new customers, and they still went 8x. Now there's a lot of ones, like we can look at Cardano, and their second cycle was bigger than their first, and that's because they were getting traction. So here's Cardano's first. It went up to like 80. No, it went up to $1.17, pulled back tremendously. At the bottom, it was actually at 1.7 cents. Then it doesn't fully reflect it. It did go up to $3.40 for a little while, and then pulled way back down. So this is what a project that's getting momentum and traction. So they had a really big year here in 2018. Then they went down for, guess what? 3 years. And then they went up, and then they came back down. What? It looks like a 4-year cycle. So as we look at the OMI charts, keep that in mind. All you're really seeing is a 4-year cycle. And, there's people in crypto that are new as of like 2 years ago, and they think they know what's going on, and they haven't even been through one cycle. But they do have a loud voice, and they, are very passionate about what they do on trolling people. They just don't know what they're talking about yet. Why? They're brand new at this. So this was the big 2021 blast off, and they actually coasted in some traction into 2022. Here's when their collectibles went absolutely crazy in January 2022. And then it's been pulling back, and the smart investors have been using this phase to accumulate. Now, some other things have been really taking off, like one that I'm a really big fan of and I'm heavily invested in, called DEVVE, and that's showing some signs of life after pulling back tremendously from their launch. So they launched recently, and it doesn't show the full history here, but it launched at 40 cents, came back down to 30 cents, and then blasted off to actually over $2. It's not showing that here. And then it corrected down, went all the way to 14 cents. And this and a few other narratives like blockchain gaming have really been taking off, and you're starting to see some action come back in the market. But doesn't that mean if OMI hasn't taken off, then like OMI's just dead?
Like I was saying before with Pokemon, you had first edition base set, you had holos, and really first edition base set through Neo Destiny. You had a few years of Pokemon product that were going crazy, and the trophies weren't going at all. Now, a trophy Kangaskhan that has 42 copies out there, that is one of the most highly coveted cards in the entire hobby, is a bit more special and a bit safer bet than a first edition Pidgey, PSA 10. Now, that one went from like $40 when I got it to maybe a couple $100, maybe did like that 5x But not everything runs at the same time. You had that go, and then you had some Gym Challenge go, then you had some Gold Stars go, and again, it trickled there, and then you had that big boom. So the same thing that we saw in VeVe in 2021, early 2022, not everything went up at once. Maybe Marvel Mighties went up, maybe Spider-Man went up, but Golden Moments were one of like the last things to run. I think that some of the Cryptkins that had done like a 5 or 6x, dare I say, are not as special as Homer and Bart or the partner statue, but they ran first. And then it doesn't mean the other ones are less valuable. It just means that the money hadn't gotten there yet. This time, I think people will be a little more select about what goes first. I don't think the Cryptkins will run again. Maybe not. Who knows? But I think stuff like Ultra Rare Vader, I think stuff like that. And again, just because certain things are running in crypto right now, like gaming, again, I have a decent little position in DEVVE. Pretty happy. I accumulated. I was actually hoping that it would go down a little further as money would come in. See, like they still have some more vesting in, but unfortunately, that was not the case. It ran up a little early on me, which is fine. Put that into more OMI and Definity.
It could come back down, right? So there's still, I think, a month and a half worth of pre-sale investors that are getting their vesting happening, and you can actually withdraw daily, but what a lot do is they let it accumulate before they make another withdrawal. So I'm hoping that it comes down a little bit cheaper, even though I'm really heavy on it. I'm not accumulating more, but I know a lot of people that are trying to accumulate more, and cheaper is always better than more expensive. But I can't tell on the charts if it's going to keep running or if it's going to pull back one more time. Who knows? It caught me off guard a little bit that it started running up crazy. Other than, we had a talk with Tom, you and I. It's one of the advantages of having YouTube channel and investing heavily in some companies is sometimes you get a little bit of behind the scenes access. And we were able to do an talk with Tom, and he shared with us some of the things going on. And it's like, oh my gosh, amazing things going on with this company. All right. Catching up on some of the comments, going back up. Is there some announcement I missed? I missed an announcement.
No,
like that,
it's just that when the new co-CEO was labeled yesterday or announced early this morning at like midnight, he was the leader at, and this is why I really like him. 4 years ago, he started at New Zealand Binance. And then 2 years ago, he started at Australia Binance. So I don't think they promote you to Australia Binance unless New Zealand Binance went really well. So they had that, and it's just that connection. So I think people are saying, hey, he's from Binance. That's a really good foot in the door. Now, for those of you that don't know, like a 12 to 14 months ago, give or take, David did an interview with Binance New Zealand, and that's probably where they met. That's probably where they had that. They probably had this discussion for a while. People typically say like, or I've seen some people say like, oh, he switches jobs every few years. That's not good. One, usually that's how you get the most amount of raises. So people think he's going to work here for 2 years and then abandon ship. Like, well, if he does what we need him to do and then his job is done, then yeah, why not go off somewhere else and, have someone else come in or have David take back over, whatever.
Well, some people are really good at growing things and then they move on. They don't need to stick around for the stabilization time. They come in and implement some things and then move on, and that's not bad.
Yeah.
So yeah,
hopefully this is a good finance thing.
Zephe, sir, what do you think about Ben Rose joining VeVe as co-CEO and shareholder? What does this mean for OMI? Finally, more frequent communication, large exchanges, utility burns, community engages like in 2021. What do you think?
Bring the comment up again so I can read it real quick, please. Gracias. So I'm really curious. I had a message from him early this morning, and I responded. He hasn't gotten back yet. So he says, hey, thanks for the awesome welcome. I won't read it verbatim, but he says, like, I'll be fine to come on your channel soon. I'll keen to do that. How's next week? So maybe next week we can do it. I would want to ask him about shareholders. He's shareholder in Orbis. She's shareholder in VeVe. I'm really excited about this because this is one of the things that makes you super. You have a really good incentive to do this. Elon Musk was able to hit a bunch of different tranches for his for his Tesla stock if he got the stock to a certain point. And if he hit all 15 tranches, all 15 points, he would have been able to get a ton of stock at a super cheap price, which he did. But again, that's really good for the shareholders. You have some people that say like, oh, he inflates the price in order so he can get it cheaper. Like, whatever you do as CEO to get Tesla to like 10x in price, yeah, by all means, give him what he's worth. It's some of these people say like, oh, we shouldn't be paying the salesperson more than 6 figures. Like, well, if they're doing it off of commission, you want him to go in as get him not 7 figures, get him as much as he wants, as long as he's justifying that value. So if he's a shareholder, whether it's VeVe, Orbis, I'll ask him, but as long as he has that incentive to do so, yeah, give him how much of the company he wants. The bigger piece he has, the bigger he gets. I'm curious about that. Bring the comment up again real quick. I missed that.
All right.
The rest of it.
Hold on.
From the
back up.
Right, well, I mean, for OMI, so this was a VeVe announcement. A lot of people are just like, I've gotten multiple comments on my YouTube channel saying like, is this the first step in moving away from the token? I was like, are you kidding me? So you're not going to get someone from Binance and then not use that relationship. Clearly, and it'll become easier to see as OMI to NFT really gets released to the masses. Right now, it's still in beta. Maybe in the next couple months we get that, but this is most likely going to be a very positive thing for the token because now we have someone that super understands blockchain as the co-CEO of VeVe, and just the way to integrate that, the way to knowing how blockchain works and know how crypto runs. I think it's going to be a great thing. Others might have a different opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, I like it. David is really good at making the deals out there that's necessary for VeVe to really get the IP that'll make them a forever thing, right? So they're looking to be number one in the digital collectible space and have a marketplace. You know, they're a little bit concerned that the US SEC might come after them if they were the only marketplace having VeVe stuff. So it was good for them to diversify, work with Dr. Profit to create another marketplace for their stuff, just as a hedge against what I'd call US SEC risk. And so, but still like creating the platform that everyone wants to be on for digital collectibles. And so far they're nailing that. And integral to that is getting some of the best IP in the world. But then there also is like running the company. And so David is traveling so much, meeting people and doing this stuff. It's great that they're bringing in somebody who's got the expertise on the crypto side to really help them expand and also grow the company. So I'm looking forward to this announcement. That's cool. I wanted to see them bring somebody in big like that with good experience. So I'm happy. Was this the bottom for OMI?
It's hard to say. I mean, you still have, again, this was a VeVe announcement. So obviously Foster wasn't there. Reese wasn't there. David wasn't wearing his Akomi hat. It was a specific VeVe one. So it would have made much sense if it didn't really move the price at all, although it did, up like 5% today. Which again, is that a ton? You know, did we 3x? No, but again, if you're worried about the bottom and you have 5% bump, you know, take it, that's fine. You do still have people getting their OMI off of Bit4x. Mm-hmm. So there is a bit of sell pressure and it might go a bit lower. But then you also have OMI to NFT, and you know, why did they decide to last week burn their reserve in their vault wallet? Why now? Now that they have a third party that they'll have utility for, I think now you might see a couple more exchanges. Maybe not now, but after that releases over the next 6 months. And does that mean, does an exchange mean suddenly we moon? No, we have OKX is a pretty big exchange, and we're not there. Even Binance US doesn't do a ton of volume, but just the fact that it's a really big name, it's one of the biggest names in crypto. You get on there if you can do that. Maybe that turns sentiment around a little bit.
Binance,
and then right now traders don't want to go in on them.
Binance.us would help US investors more easily get in, though the US investors can buy. They can buy it on either base or they can buy it on ETH. It's just kind of a pain. But last cycle, when it mooned in 2021, it was a real pain because it was on like 2 exchanges that were, difficult, and people didn't otherwise have access to those exchanges in most cases. So they had to get on some crazy exchange that they'd never heard of, figure out how to use that exchange. So when it's ready to moon, it is going to moon, whether or not it's on bigger exchanges. Though I'd love to see it on some bigger exchanges, especially in the US, because it will just make it easier. Some more comments. Anthony Mercado buying 1 million OMI every 2 weeks. I think that's going to be a very profitable venture for you. Dino, I just bought 1 million. Good job, brother. Look, it's scary to buy. Like, this is the time. Like, everyone looks back on the charts and they always say, oh my gosh, I would buy so much when it was cheap like this. Oh my gosh. You know, they'll look back at, let me show you a better chart that like really shows it. So they look back at this chart and they're like, if I was in crypto, I would have bought, let me put it on log scale so that you can really see it. If I was in crypto, I would have bought right here and I would have just loaded up. No, you wouldn't have. If you're not buying OMI at these prices, there's no way in hell you would have bought Cardano at these prices, because being able to buy the dip, like the massive, and it's not just a dip, this is a massive pullback where there is massive FUD, massive haters. Like, you think there's a lot of haters for OMI right now? There were just as many, if not more, haters. There were YouTube channels with 70,000 followers that were hating on Cardano pretty much daily. Now, it doesn't seem like 70,000 is a lot today. Back then, those were some of the biggest channels in crypto, and they were hating on Cardano pretty much daily. And so, like, OMI doesn't even have the level of FUD Cardano had back then. So it's like people that aren't buying OMI at these prices, they probably, there's no way they would have been buying Cardano at those prices, because it takes a savage to be able to say, oh my gosh, look at all these things going on with the OMI, VeVe, and they're the #1 leader in digital collectibles and stuff. Okay, a bunch of people getting their money off of, or their OMI tokens off of BitForex, and it looks like they're just dumping them on the market, and it just keeps pushing prices down. Well, eventually that's going to end, and eventually the bull market is going to come back again, and I can't see a good reason why the digital collectibles narrative won't hit this bull run. And so you are taking a probability. Like, there's no guarantees in any type of investing ever. Even if you're buying treasury bills, there's no real guarantee that you'll get your money back out. So especially on speculative investing like crypto, there's no guarantees here. What you're doing is you're just taking a probability bet. But in my evaluation, you have a financially sound company with good leadership, getting the top IP in all of the digital collectibles space. From what I can tell, their company's very healthy, so they'll be able to stick around till the coming bull run. And I don't see why this narrative of digital collectibles doesn't really hit hard and do really well during the coming bull run. And they're in first place in my evaluation of top intellectual property out there. I can't make a good logical reason of why OMI doesn't go crazy in the coming bull market. And I think that bull market is next year.
Yeah, we would have, I mean, and we don't know exactly when. I mean, it could be late next year, even early 2026, or it could be in like 3 months, because history does tend to rhyme, doesn't often repeat. So who knows what the next is? Is it DeFi? Is it, what's up, Spacer? You know, is it digital collectibles? Is a game? You know, we'll see. But I'm excited for the next 12 months.
Crypto Cosmo, good to have you here. Wealth Abundance, Sup Rain fam, good to have you here, brother. If you didn't watch the beginning of this, you might want to go back and watch the beginning of this. The premise is helping people learn to become good investors. Now, a lot of people come into crypto and they just think it's magic internet money, or they don't really know what's going on and they just kind of throw their money around. Whether you realize it or not, crypto is just, some of the space is literally magic internet money, which your odds are pretty bad there. So we're talking about meme coins or just like crypto projects that aren't real businesses with a real narrative doing something. the part of crypto where I think the money is to be made, and this is what's borne out since I've been in for 7 years. And I focus now on this part because last bear market going into the bull market, this is the part of my portfolio that massively did well. And I like companies that are anywhere from 2 to 6 years old, maybe as new as like 1 year old, but like 2 to 6 years old. The price has been punished by the bear market. Yet you now have a good bearing on the team because they've been in the space for a while, working hard, building a company, and that they have an idea or a narrative behind their company that makes sense to me of why that can do well in the coming bull market. So OMI is one of my picks in there. Like I like OMI tremendously. I feel like it's got really strong value proposition and it's really cheap right now. And as an investor, I do things a little bit different than most crypto people. I do what I call buy low. And you think, oh, that's so easy, buy low. Well, then why are so many people, you even see some of the people in the chat, where's this comment? I mean, this guy clearly doesn't get it, and that's okay. There are people like that. Where'd it go? And he was talking about, haha, only believers are waiting and price keeps going down. Haha, look how depressed on the guy on the right is. I don't know what you're seeing. Is that a little projection on depression? Because I'm not seeing much depression there. But you think that's a bad thing that price keeps going down, and that's cool. That's cool. Just stick around, keep learning. You're just new at this space, and it's not bad to be new. You're always bad before you're good. It just takes a while to become good at investing. So you're here maybe a year or 2 years or 3 years, and cool. You're like a kid out of high school that thinks he knows a lot yet. And when adults talk to him, it's like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, man. I got it all figured out. Cool. You'll keep thinking that till you realize you don't, and that's all right. Like, then there's the epiphany phase of like, crap, I have a lot to learn here. That's when hopefully you start digging in. Now, what often happens, people go through that epiphany phase and they just distance from crypto. They're like, because they don't want to admit that they didn't understand and that they were wrong. And then you'll just stay broke. But like, the truth is, a lot of people who made massive money in crypto, they, a lot of the ones that I've seen make massive money in crypto, some of them had big successes before. So they knew what doing the right things looked like. A few people didn't have any money at all, but they saw the value and they quickly figured out how to do the right things. Because what I will say is most people in crypto do things wrong. They come in and they're like, they chase green candles. So they literally buy high, hoping it goes higher. And that's what you see in this comment, right? Oh my gosh, why would you want to buy when something's getting cheaper? Because I like buying low. Makes sense to me. Why would you want to buy something that just already went 10x? I mean, it feels exciting because that's where it feels like the action is. But that's exactly what most people do. They buy high, hoping it goes higher. Now, if you buy in this coming bull market, if something's gone up 10x, you might be lucky and it goes up another 10x from there if you're pretty lucky, or maybe 20x from there if you're really, really lucky. But realize that you're buying high, hoping it goes higher. And when it pulls back, it's probably going to pull back below the point that you bought at, because you didn't buy at the bottom. You bought 10x up, and you happen to be in the time frame that this next year is going to be really good in crypto. Cool. You still don't know very much yet because you bought high rather than low, and it did go higher on you. Cool. That's what's called luck, and you can get lucky during this next year. It's real easy to get lucky. Where you're smart is if you stick around. Number one, you sell when things go really, really high. That would be a really smart move. Then you keep that money to the side for the bear market that follows, because there will be a bear market again. And when things go really, really crazy, this bull market, you'll hear people say, oh, the paradigm's changed. Crypto is just going to go up forever. And it just doesn't play out that way. What goes up does come down. And guess what? What goes down does go up. As long as the company doesn't die in the meantime. I'm pretty sure VeVe seems like it's not dying to me.
And
so
one of the other good things about Ben Rose, the new co-CEO, is he's only ever gone up. If you look at his LinkedIn, started from the bottom, now we're here. He's not going to go backwards in his thing. He's not going to be like, I'm going to go in and shine these knobs on the Titanic for 6 months just to get a paycheck until the company dies. He is here because he genuinely believes that this company will be worth likely tens of billions of dollars, if not more. And that's just the company, not including the token. Which again, if he's a shareholder, how does he get paid? Does he have the token? This is not something like, there are pumpamentals where people say like, oh yeah, look at this has, the narrative, it's in a meme coin, it's got a certain amount of NFTs, whatever it has. Pumpamentals are fine, hype is cool, but those fundamentals are forever. And those fundamentals that VeVe has with the margins that they're making, I understand why they made $60,000 on the Peter Pan drop, because Peter Pan, like, everyone knows and loves him. But the Star Wars drop that they just had, which they made another $60-something thousand on, these were not droids that people knew. This wasn't R2D2, it wasn't C3PO, this wasn't even R4. I did not know any of these droids, and I'm a pretty big nerd. I'm a pretty big fan of Star Wars, and I did not know any of them. And they still made 60 grand on it. And people still buying that secret rare for $700. Like, that is nuts that you can get people to care and spend real money on those things just because it's scarce. That is wild. VeVe has tapped into something greater than I think people realize.
Well, the second avenue that's going to keep them healthy is that if they're right and these collectibles are desirable in the future, every time they change hands, I think VeVe makes what, 2%?
2.5.
2.5% on the sale of these. So if they become the number one marketplace for digital collectibles, imagine with that 2.5% on every sale that changes hands. So think about the Batman black and white. The Todd McFarlane one was going for 80 gems. Later, it was reselling for 16,000 gems. So what? They were making $320, or actually more than that. Every time it was changing hand, like 400. Am I right? Or is it $40 or $400? Maybe it's only $40.
At 14,000, they were making $350. So at 16,000, be about 400. Yeah.
$400 every time it changed hands, right? And that was pretty good. Now, only during the bull markets do they make that crazy money, but that's some incredible revenues for something they were selling for 80 gems before. Now, every time it was changing hands, they're making $400 at those prices. And they're still making money as it changes hands right now. I think they're trading around $500 to $800 the last time I checked. So at $800 every time it changes hands, they're making another $20. Not bad. Not bad. And their initial sale price was 80 gems. Let's talk about other companies, because OMI is just one of the ones I like that has been really cheap and punished during this bear market. What other ones are you looking at, Randy?
I mean, we spoke about DEVVE a bit, which we like, but between the D, dude, Definity is like my second favorite position. That could potentially be my biggest position if that keeps going up and OMI stays where it is. That is, for people that don't know, it's a crypto-focused company. It currently just offers foreign currencies, foreign exchange for institutions, and it's not public how much they make or how much they gross, but they make a good amount. And that's with foreign currencies. The margins on that are super thin. They're thinner than this bottle cap. Once they offer those existing clients, they don't have to get any new clients for this. Those existing clients, and they offer them crypto options, and those margins are so fat, they're going to start making money hand over fist. And they just announced that they were in casino gaming as well with Bitline, which has access to casinos across the world. We don't know where they're going to start, but we do know that the minimum ticket for them, the minimum loan, like if you have $500,000 in Bitcoin, you can go to a casino and get $250,000 in chips. They haven't mentioned publicly how much of that they're going to take for facilitating that deal. But even if that's 1%, that's $2,500 per deal to their bottom line in their pocket. And again, that's oh my God, that's going to be heckin' insane. The market cap on this is less than $10 million. This is so stupid undervalued. OMI already has that market cap of like 110 million. This is a fraction of that. And again, it's not public on what they're making, but oh my God, I love this. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in DEFFINITY. Ian, one of the great things about having a YouTube channel is that we have the opportunity to bring them on the YouTube channel and ask them questions and share with the audience directly as we're getting answers to our questions, share with the audience those answers. Now, before I had a YouTube channel and I was just an investor back in the bear market, 2018, 2019, 2020, I launched the YouTube channel end of 2020. But I had to rely on the questions other YouTubers asked, but most YouTubers didn't have a background in business at all. So they didn't ask the same questions I necessarily wanted asked. So it's been fun to be in the position and interview them and get the answers live, as well as get to know some of the different executives behind some of the companies I'm very interested in, because I find that, and my hope when I started the YouTube channel was if I could grow enough audience, I could not only get to know them, but I could share what I'm learning with my audience so that we could all have better information to make our decisions on. DEFFINITY's been one that I'm a big fan of. Paul joins me every Wednesday. Paul works for DEFFINITY. If you've ever caught our Wednesday shows, it's buy, wait, or sell. Paul works for DEFFINITY, and he's brilliant. Most people don't make money trading. Paul is an exception to that rule. And he advises some really, really big people on, they call him all, and they work with DEFFINITY, and they'll call up Manu and they'll be like, hey, I want to talk to Paul and get his thoughts on this. So we've been blessed as we're teaching. My goal is to teach people to become savage investors, to give you a totally different standpoint or viewpoint from me on how Paul looks at and analyzes charts. And his investment strategy is very different than mine. Mine is much easier to copy than his is. The type of people that try to get into trading like Paul does, most don't do well. Paul is definitely an exception to that. And I don't recommend trying to do what Paul does, but learning how Paul thinks is very valuable. So hopefully you're able to catch that. That is Paul from DEFFINITY, the same company here, DEFX. So, boy, they got wrecked here. Looks like it was a rug pull. Not. And then their prices started to take off. It went all the way here to what, like 7 cents, and it's been trading and consolidating here. Now, sometimes there's another pullback before a run up. Sometimes it's just ready to break to the upside and run. And I don't know which of the two, but I hold huge bags of DEFFINITY myself.
Yeah, they've been trading there. I mean, at least in this most recent kind of uptick for, I don't know, 10 months. But again, if you go back, even July of 2021, that was like 7 cents, 6 cents. So, I mean, when you take a look at it, the longer the base, the bigger the breakout. And we have like a 3-year base here. So this is something that's just, oh my God, when that breaks out, again, it'll break up or down, but I don't want to plug in numbers here because we don't know, it's not public on what they are. But let's say they make, 100K each month net from the, the foreign exchange side. Okay, and then they have the crypto that they're going to offer that to institutions for, and then they have the casino gaming. So let's say by next year they're off and they're making, not just doing 100K each month. Let's say they're doing $1 million a month. I mean, $1 million a month. If you're netting 12 million per year, which is an insanely conservative amount, what they're doing. What's the earnings before income taxes and amortization? Let's say that's for rapidly scaling companies, 25, 50x. So if we do 12 million, and again, we're super conservative with it, and we do 25x, that's a $300 million market cap that the company should be. And where crypto goes, as it's either usually undervalued or overvalued. Every now and then, crypto is like a broken clock, and it is right, and it values the company correctly. But when this crypto decides to go in and take off, it's not going to be valued at what the company should be valued at. It's likely going to be valued way overboard. And again, this 300 million is a very, very insanely conservative amount of what the company might be valued at. So the crypto should go pretty crazy. But even if it is at 300 million and it only goes to where it's valued at, was that like a 30x from here? I'm pretty conservative.
Part of the reason I love crypto is the volatility. Like the pendulum swings too far to each way, right? So DEFINITY probably never should have swung back down to half a cent, but it did. What the price should do doesn't matter. It's really about what the price does do. And when a bull market happens, there's so many people FOMOing in, and there's usually a squeeze. Prices swing to prices that they should never hit, and yet they do. I mean, I saw that in 2017. I saw that in 2021. I imagine we're going to see that in 2025. And so playing that volatility of buying low and then holding and then selling high can make you so much money. But get that only 5% of the crypto investors really understand that and do that. And they make incredible life-changing money. Incredible for those that are single, wife-changing money, because who you have access to in your dating pool does change when your wealth changes. What other projects are you looking at?
Well, we did talk about DEVVE a little bit. How much did you go into that? Want to talk about that again, or is that something that
Yeah, we can talk about it. We didn't go really into what they're doing. We just went into the price action. Geez, up at 47 cents. Damn it.
Yeah, that was not even like 20 minutes ago. That was not that. It was like 42 cents. So we had a nice little boom there.
For those that are saying OMI's never going to do well, look what happens when I just change the chart like this, right? It's like you can change this chart, and guess what? It does terrible until all of a sudden it doesn't.
But this is a 3x from like 2 weeks ago, and so it turns on a dime. Like this turns very, very quickly. This is something where the is it public how big the transaction per second are, right? Or it can be.
So 8 million transactions per second is what they benchmarked essentially their database at it back in 2016. 2016, their sharding algorithm, they benchmarked at 8 million transactions per second.
Which is insane. Their sharding is bananas because you can go in and you could use it towards you could build on their blockchain, and you could build it really quickly, and it could be for whatever you want. Right now, currently you have FIOS that's building on it. FIOS has that the Litcraft and Experience, which I have the couple of records on that game. There's multiple games in that. It's really fun. But when you take a look at it, okay, there's the first one that's building on. How many other? If you want to have a really big game and you want to have a game that has multiple players doing multiple different things at each time, like Earth 2, I think should have built on there, because they're doing. I don't know. Like they're doing maybe 6 transactions per second just on that game. Would be great if they could build on DEVVE, because that game's going to get a lot bigger, and we can go over that later. But for this, that's one company, and this is what, a $40 million market cap, fully diluted. If this becomes the next Solana, which seems like it's better than Solana. I know there's going to be some Solana peeps, Solana maxis that are going to like unsubscribe now, but if that does that, even just getting to a fraction of it, Solana's number 5 crypto, and I'm not saying we get there, but even at a fraction of that, let me take a look here real quick. The Solana market cap right now, and obviously I think Solana's going to go really crazy in the bull market, $72 billion. If this company gets a fraction of that and gets to $7 billion with a 40 million, right? So, a 10x goes to 400. So this is 100 something x, like 120x going to a tenth of where Solana would be.
Coin market cap right now is saying their current market cap is $24 million.
Was that fully diluted?
No, the fully diluted is saying it's 129 million.
Oh, damn. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That
is a juicy low market cap for a layer 1 blockchain that has these kinds of speeds. In addition, one of the reasons I like it is so different layer 1 blockchains have different languages to interact with them. So Cardano uses Haskell and some other languages to interact with it. Ethereum has Solidity, which was a language built specifically to interact with it. DEVVE took 4 years to integrate with API calls, which means anybody who knows web programming can actually interact with DEVVE's blockchain like they would interact with a database. So like 90% of programmers know how to interact with API calls. So it is the most easy to build on blockchain out there, and it has transaction speeds that can handle anything. So it's just not known yet. And in the past, what I've seen with crypto projects that have strong things about them is they're not known until suddenly they are. And then when they are, they go bananas. So that's what my hope is with this. People say, Rain, but what will it go to? Well, I don't have a magic crystal ball. I can't tell you. I can have my guesses. They're educated guesses, but they're still just guesses. Does it catch on? Well, I think so. I think it could go 1,000x from here. Will it? We'll find out. I don't know. That's just, it could go 1,000x from here. It might go 100x from here. Might go 2,000x from here. Who knows? Good things. We were able to have a call with a team behind, and some of the stuff isn't like can't be disclosed information, but it's not public information that we can't share, that we learned on it. But it was a really exciting call.
Others can build a new chain on it. They have the ability to integrate with every chain. Like you said, it took X amount of years to integrate their blockchain with the API that they were looking at. So they've come a long way. This is not just a new company where, maybe it can do some of the things they're promising. It's already done that.
And their token was only launched in January, but they've been building this company since 2015. So they were one of the crypto projects that delayed the longest before launching a token. And they just self-funded and funded with some private fund during that time. So instead of like launching a token and saying, we're going to use that money to build an idea, they spent like 8 years building the idea before they even launched their token. So a very different circumstance than most crypto projects do.
Take a look at Earth 2's essence, called ESS. Not Essentia. It's is it not even on here? I think it's down below where it says deck scan, ESS, the WETH, Earth 2 essence.
Pulled it right up on CoinGecko.
So this launched in, well, the token's fairly new. That's a few months old, but the project launched in November of 2020. This was why I couldn't really go super into it because I was paying off that Pokemon card. Put in a few grand, took out like 10, and I still have like 5 or 10K left in there. And then what they did was, normally what people do is they would do an ICO. They do initial coin offering that funds the project. But what these people did, they did the land sale first, and then based on the land sale, how much property you got, that's how much essence that you would get. And then eventually that essence is mined. You turn, it's called ether, and then you turn it into essence in the game, and you could withdraw it. But we were like 3 years. They just launched their token literally a few months ago. So if you go to Max on their
it's on Max.
Yeah,
where's what it's showing. That doesn't mean it didn't come out before then. That's just what CoinGecko, how long they've been tracking.
It's a few months old, so that's literally what it came out as. But they have some really cool, if you go to their YouTube channel, I'll show it right here, pretty much every video, it has hundreds of thousands of views on it. And every single video, some of them have millions of views. They have almost 1 million subscribers over on their YouTube channel. And going on the Earth 2 platform, someone's either taking their essence and burning it for something. They're going on and launching side droids, which is how you can raid other people's property for their essence, which is really cool. They're buying tiles, they're selling tiles, they're mining. There's 4 or 5 things that happen every single second of every single day on the Earth 2 platform. They have about 150,000 monthly active users. This is one of those things where I would say a billion tokens is as much as they could ever have. And there's already been millions of them that have been burned and gone forever. But this is something that I think could also do a 1000x if they go in and they fully launch their metaverse, or if they fully launch the drone video game, which they bought and they're releasing that for free. When that metaverse narrative hits, and these guys are out. That's one of the things that could potentially do that 100 to 1,000. They're super low.
Yeah, and I think
I don't have a ton of that of a few grand worth.
I think the metaverse narrative hits pretty strong again. And so like I've got a few different places. I don't have any Essence yet. I don't have any Earth to Land. When they did launch, I was just like, there were a bunch of projects launching back then that were just kind of like money grabs. And it was hard to distinguish. And I thought Earth 2 was probably going to be a money grab. One of the reasons I now kind of over time, it took me a while to figure this out, but projects between 2 to 6 years old is because there's a lot of money grabs that launch in crypto, and that they make this really good story and they have this great pitch to raise funds and do a token launch, and then they just kind of evaporate. Why? That was their exit strategy. There was no strategy beyond that. And so when a company is like 2 years old to 6 years old and their tokens have been punished by the bear market, you can see who's still working. And essentially you see who's wearing pants when the tide goes out. Like when the tide goes out during the bear market, you see who has pants on, who doesn't, like who's actually working and working hard. And so it's easier to make smarter investments than when they launched. At the time I was like, well, we'll see if they stick around, because they had this cool idea. Do they stick around? And they have, and continue developing, which is the signs I like to see in what I'm investing in. Cool. Well, any bigger thoughts? Like the purpose of today was to talk about investing. I did share at the beginning, I don't think you caught that, Randy, about the private Discord, that those that join my private Patreon, you then have to connect up to the private Discord. Now, some people join the Patreon and they don't ever connect up to the Discord, and then they like quit the Patreon a little bit long later because they're like, oh yeah, you don't ever post on Patreon, and I almost never post on Patreon. That's just the gatekeeper for the private Discord. And the private Discord is where all the interaction is that I post regularly, and our Rainmaker family posts all the time. The level of discussion for savage crypto investors there is incredible. You'd be surrounding yourself by a bunch of people that are committed to crypto success. They're really good at this. Some people in there are just totally OGs. And you'll be able to surround yourself with the kind of people you need to surround yourself with. Nobody there is like an idiot. If you just go on Twitter and you talk crypto, half the loudest voices don't know what the hell they're talking about. They definitely don't know what they're doing. They're new at this, but they're the loudest voices. And so it just kind of drowns out, and it just becomes an argumentative space. I haven't had this happen yet, but if somebody's a real idiot in our Discord, they are getting booted. Just like, if you're running a school, think of it like a school for wealth training over a 6-year period, that at a master's degree, you would be able to retire. Well, 6 years, that's basically when it's going to take to become a true savage crypto investor. Now, many of our audience are 3 years into this. They've been preparing for this bull run for 3 years now, and they're going to find out how good these principles work. It's pretty exciting. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for everyone who's here now, hearing this message now, because if you're doing the right things now, it's going to be an amazing, I don't know if it's 6 months from now when the blow off top happens, 12 months or 15 months from now, but odds are it's in that window, 6 to 15 months from now. More likely 12 months or less.
Can't heckin' wait.
Yeah. So the only way you have that link to the private Patreon is if you're on my YouTube channel, because you won't be able to see it on Randy's. He doesn't have the link in there. You'll have to go to Crypto Rain on YouTube, and you should be able to find it in the comments section, not the comments, but the links underneath a YouTube video. And
I do have a link to your Zero to Hero course. That's not on this one, but any other video that I have, you can check that out and use that.
Yeah, I did make some specific course content because a lot of people are trying to cram. It's a good way to cram a couple years worth of knowledge into a number of videos. There is a cost associated with it, which of course it's education, and it's kind of like a condensed version. You could just go back and watch 2 or 3 years of my videos and spend like 2,000 hours doing that, or you could buy the course and you could get it all in about 20 hours. Much more condensed. And many of you, your time is extremely valuable. So that's a better use of your time.
All right, guys, that'll be it for us. Oh, hey, what's up, Jason Pena? How's it going, fam?
Wealth
I
Abundance
will.
says, I went back and watched it 2x. I'm not sure what you watched 2x, and I'm glad I did because I was feeling hopeless watching my portfolio dwindle over the years. Bear markets are hard. This feeling of buying low and then it goes lower on you, it does wash out most people. They just can't handle it. That's why it's funny. I was looking back at like people who tuned into my videos like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, kind of dwindled away. Those that took the time to join my private Discord and in that community, we've had very, very, very little fall off because they've surrounded themselves with like-minded people that help them not just emotionally wash away. And so literally the people that I know that are multimillionaires now from crypto, they didn't do anything magic. They just did some research to identify some decent companies that were still working hard during the bear market. And then they bought when the charts looked like what this OMI chart looks like. I mean, let's share that. The chart looked like this, or even better, I like this one. They bought when the chart looked like this, and they just dollar cost average, and it seemed like they were doing the dumb thing. They were actually doing the safe thing. They were buying low, and then the price reversed on the projects they were buying in. And during the bull market, it went crazy, and they became multimillionaires. And they're not magic. They didn't have a magic wand. They were actually just doing the smart investing thing, buying low, waiting till it went high to sell. They became multimillionaires. Now, I know a lot of my audience has been doing the smart thing over the past 3 years. And we talk about projects that are undervalued at these prices that are good bets because still some companies could fail. And you're taking bets that they won't, that they'll survive till the coming bull market. And if they do, well, then you make amazing returns. Now, part of the reason I diversify is because some businesses do fold and go under. So I've diversified across a number of them, taking bets, so that you know you're actually, when you're doing this, you're an early stage business investor, which another term for that is a venture capital investor. Do you realize that in traditional venture capital investing, it looks like this? They invest in 10 different projects. And over the next 10 years, one, if they're lucky, two of those do really good. Half of those failed, if not 60% failed. And then like 2 or 3 made okay returns. And on average, they hope to get like a 10x, a 7x to 10x return over 10 years. And that's if that does pretty good. Now in crypto, using those same principles of identifying early stage projects that are better to invest in, realize some will fail, but the multiples in crypto are just crazy compared to traditional VC investing. And that's what's so exciting to me, that during the right time periods, if you're buying during the bear market and you're holding till the bull market, even if 65% of what you invested in failed, you can still, in just a 2-year time frame, if you're buying in, say, last year and you're holding till next year, possibly get a 20x, a 40x, or 100x across your whole portfolio, even though 65% of what you bought went to zero. Now, hopefully less than 65% failed.
Generally, for any typical VC, and they put into, let's say, 10 companies that they have for 7 years, 7 of those companies will either go to zero or they'll lose money on. 2 of those companies will kind of keep their money, maybe make a little, and then that one they have to hope does that like 30x to cover all the losses, and then also make it profitable. Typically VCs are not that good at determining which companies will fly and which won't. Luckily, for whatever reason, I think it's just because I've talked to thousands of business owners. One of the guys that I know and advise, he in 2022, when Gary Vaynerchuk had come out in support of Recur, he put X amount of money with Recur. He said, "Hey, Randy, I want you to go to his VCon that he had in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, and I want you to see what he's saying about it. You know, now he's onto this new NFT project called VeFriends. And I saw immediately there, I should probably saw a couple of weeks prior, but I wanted to confirm this, that they weren't taking care of the IP. Yeah, they had Care Bears, they had Star Trek, they had Rugrats, they had Nickelodeon, they had Riptar, Hey Arnold. But in their first ever article ever, they had given them the wrong clothes, they had misspelled things, they were missing things that any true fan would be like, what the heck is this? And then going to VCon, and the final nail in the coffin was Gary Vaynerchuk not mentioning Recur a single time. So I knew when I don't know, like 18 months before they declared bankruptcy, that they weren't going to make it. That was in the bear market. Obviously, now if you survive this far, even if you're not making any money, there's a chance that the bull market comes in and saves you and make that. But I'm pretty good at that. It's one of the things I'm pretty good on.
I want to share a little history. So Abe's been one of my community members for 3 years now. And, I've been warning people that the bear market is like no joke and that it washes you out and it's hard. And 3 years ago, like just coming off of 2021, and, people are like, oh, crypto's great. And there's, we're all going to be rich is what it feels like. And so Abe says, dude, the bear market is no joke. I remember Jay saying the rainmaker is boring and hard. By that, he means the bear market is boring and hard. Psst, I thought, how hard could it be, bro? I sure found out. Yes, it does wash most people out. And, Abe actually joined the Discord community a long time ago. Would you say, Abe, that helped you stick it out to continue doing smart actions when prices were super cheap?
I think it helps to touch grass sometimes as well, and to like live life. I mean, us going on trips, us going and just hanging out together, even just going for walks, just like it's fun. I mean, partly because we're just friends. But yeah, even just going out, just walking your dog, just going out and just not paying attention to crypto for just a day or two is like, oh, that's kind of nice. Good way to recharge the battery.
You have to do that during the bear market, right? Some audience members like, oh my gosh, Rain, I took like 2 months off. And I'm like, good. For your sanity during the bear market, you kind of have to. My first bear market, like I started playing some video games. Now there was a crypto purpose to it. I started playing all these different MMOs. I researched a whole bunch of them to figure out which ones were the top ones because I wanted to see where blockchain gaming was going to go and what kind of things it could integrate with. But I played a whole bunch of video games for 4 months. I barely paid attention to what was happening in crypto other than when I got more bonus money, I would put more money in. Why? A sanity's sake. This next bull market, like I think if Trump wins, we're going to have a super cycle. If Kamala wins, we're just going to have a big crypto cycle. And either one of those scenarios, there's probably a savage pullback that will happen after. So we'll have another bear market. But this time I'll have taken some capital out of crypto and I'll have diversified into some cash flowing assets. So I'll be spending plenty of money, plenty of income cash flow to be spending like crazy. And Randy and I will probably make some fun videos during the bear market that'll hopefully just have straight up entertainment value rather than just always crypto value, because bear markets can be boring. Sometimes during the bear market, you just need some entertainment as well as like, okay, you get it. Dollar cost average during the bear market. Hopefully you join the Patreon, not just for, look, you're going to get some good information. Sometimes some information the public does not know about in that private Discord. All these private talks that Randy and I have with this stuff, we usually cannot share the information out publicly. You know what falls as an exception to that? Well, the private Discord, because it's private. It's not public. So we're often able to share a lot of that information there, as well as like you're just surrounding yourself with a bunch of like-minded people. And know what? None of the trolls seem to join there, because if they did, I would probably just boot them anyway. The $20 fee is not like, the fee is really just a screening mechanism. Because you know what, like crazy fudders never do is they don't pay fees. They don't spend money on
can't
stuff
afford
like
it.
that. So like I found this out. Many of you know the story, but I used to throw these big parties in Phoenix and had a lot of people come, and it was great. And they were free. I didn't care about the money. It was just for helping people get to know each other. Like I like to bring good people together. And it was just for networking. And I was single at the time. So meeting girls and helping some of my friends meet girls. Some of these girls meet some of these cool guys I knew. And it was just fun, social stuff, and had a nice house with a great backyard and fire pits and pool and like a putting green. And I rented it with 5 other roommates. So we were able to get a really nice big house and threw these big parties. And these people would come and they were just like negative Nellies. They'd come and they'd be like, oh, this party sucks. I'm like, well, there's the door. Why are you even here? And it was just weird. They'd come. And so then I started to charge $20. And I would use the money to buy stuff for catering. And like, I didn't really make money on it. It would just pretty much balance out. I'd front the money to have the caterers come and everything. And then the parties were really fun. And all those whiners and complainers say, don't spend money on like going to parties. So if it's not free, they don't come. It's the craziest thing. So we implemented that. You'll notice if you go to like my Telegram, there's a bunch of scammers, a lot of bots that join that and everything. Why? Because it's free. So.
And that knowledge is power. Going in and networking with, yes, like-minded people is great, but I don't think and this includes fudders, I don't think I've ever met anyone that I couldn't learn something from. I mean, that's the beauty of being a human. You all have these interesting gifts and individualistic ideas that you tug on a thread. Oh, hey, where does this go? And again, they can all teach you something. So that's amplified when you go to a group like that of successful people. How'd you get successful? What do you see here? And they bring that unique perspective. And it's like, people super undervalue that so much.
Yeah, I saw my first bear market that most people wash out. And the whole idea of the private community was like, how do I create something that just helps more people make it? And part of it was like the YouTube channel. I hoped it would help people have the long-term vision. And that's somewhat been successful. But a lot of my 22,000 like subscribers like don't watch the videos because a lot of them are what I call dead. Like they've moved on from crypto, or a bunch of them back in 2021 like revolted against me when I started covering VeVe instead of Cardano. They're like, oh, cover something serious, right? And they all like stopped watching my videos because I wasn't covering Cardano. But like I was talking about Cardano when it was cheap, like it was 7 cents and 10 cents. When it went to like $1.50, $2, $3, it's like, cool. It could keep going up from here, but it is not cheap. You'd be buying expensive, especially when it pulled back to $1 for a little bit. I was like, okay, this is a good pullback. But then it went up from there and it just becomes risky. You're buying high, hoping it goes higher. And at some point that reverses on you, which is exactly what happened. Yet VeVe's like Todd McFarlane Batman was 80 gems for a Todd McFarlane Batman. I was like, this is massively undervalued. And a bunch of my audience at the time was like, wait, I'm here for the Cardano videos. Why are you covering this stupid Batman thing? And I was like, I'm not a Cardano channel. I'm a buy cheap and sell high channel. And this Batman thing, I think, is going to do incredible. And it did 200x from there, 200x. Yet, a bunch of people that had come to my channel because I was covering Cardano when it was cheap. And then as it got expensive, just couldn't understand or wrap their mind around a digital collectible going up in value, even though it did. Cool. So like people wash out. And so part of my thing was, how do I help people stick in for the long term? Because that's where you make your money, is as you become good at becoming a savage investor. I didn't realize when you did high risk lending that it was mostly to businesses and you had essentially years of experience analyzing businesses. So it makes sense now why your instincts were good I was like, that's unusual that somebody's good at this. But I didn't realize that essentially gave you years of practice of looking deeper behind the books on which companies made it and didn't make it. Because that, if you really understand what crypto is about, that's the secret you're here to understand. That is what you're here to get good at, because that's how you're going to know how to take bets where the risk versus the reward, like the reward is way, way higher than the risk that you're taking. You're able to take lopsided bets where the odds are stacked for you rather than against you. A lot of people that come into crypto, they take bets where the odds are stacked against them. So say, it's 2025 and OMI's gone to say 20 cents. Is it a good time to buy OMI at 20 cents? No. but Rain, what if it goes to 40 cents? It's like, look, I have no idea, man. It made it all the way to 20 cents. That's crazy. Will it go to 40 cents? I have no idea. But what I can share with you is the odds are stacked against you bad. And if it does go to 40 cents, you'll probably not sell. And then it will go all the way back down to half a cent at some point, maybe even more, and you'll get wrecked. So that's buying when the odds are stacked against you. But you'll see tons of people coming in doing that. How do you save them from themselves? You can try to educate them, and some will listen. A bunch won't.
There's a saying that I'll take here. Master Roshi tells Goku, minds are like books, and you can read them if you know how. And it's pretty much the same for companies. A lot of banks, they'll go and they'll say, oh, you don't have 700 credit, so you can't qualify. And they don't look into why do they have 700 credit. Now, granted, most of these people they have 500 credit because they don't pay their bills. But there's a decent amount of those people that, hey, let's say they have a construction company, and those construction companies, they don't get paid right away. They don't get paid till 60 or 90 days after the job is completed. So they want to take on more work. They have to use their remaining capital to go in and pay their workers because they need to get paid. And then they say, okay, I need materials. They'll go to Home Depot or they'll go to Lowe's and they'll buy the materials on credit cards. It overextends them. And the bank just sees like, okay, you're overextended on your credit. And that's why you're 550. It's why you're 600 or you're 620. You don't qualify. But they don't realize that they have like 200,000 in aging receivables that they're ready to get back. And they just need a bridge loan until that comes in. And they don't want to turn away this money. So that helped in going deep on doing a deep dive on companies. Okay, they're not profitable. Why aren't they profitable? And okay, well, this is why, because they're spending on this.
Yeah, in some senses, it's almost the same analysis you're doing on these crypto projects, right? You're analyzing, okay, the token price is low, but there's all these variables coming together that make it quite bullish for the future. And you're just waiting to the future. Now, sometimes in the high risk lending, you might have been waiting 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And in crypto, it's a bigger cycle. Sometimes you're waiting a year or 2 years or 3 years. Like OMI's been going down for 3 years. So a lot of people who are newer think, oh my gosh, it's been going down for 3 years. And they have what's called recency bias, which is they assume that what has been happening is what's going to continue to happen. And as you're seeing, like, that's just not the case. Here's a great example of that. So if I were to shorten this timeline to here, what has been happening is going to continue to happen. And then all of a sudden, it isn't what continues to happen. And it goes from 13 cents to 42 cents. And we're not even in the blow off top bull market yet. So hold on. My wife's coming in. Anytime she interrupts me, I then like, okay, the penalty is you get to come on, say hi to everyone.
Hi. But look, I brought food.
Thank
Chili.
you. That's sweet of you.
Oh, baby.
Love you, baby.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. So what has been happening is continue to happen until it goes the other way. And this is what a lot of new people that are like high schoolers that think they have the world figured out just don't really understand. Now, is DEVVE going to take off and go straight up from here? I don't know. Sometimes this will happen and then it will pull back and settle for a while and then be ready to run. So whether it runs in the coming month or it runs 6 months from now, I can't say. But this assumption of what has been happening is going to continue to happen forever is just wrong.
That chili's got me hungry. I'm gonna get some noms. Not too much because tomorrow is $1 taco day at Taco Bell, so I got to save up some room for that. But yeah, I'm gonna...
Abe did respond. He says the private Discord is the reasons he's still in crypto. It really does help stabilize, right? Because freaking bear markets are rough. They're just emotionally rough, especially when you're new at this. If you haven't been, so I did have the advantage that I had been cycle investing in real estate with really long cycles for quite a while. So, it helped with that background coming into crypto, realizing the cycles are only 4 years. It helped me not wash out during the bear market, but a lot of people don't have that background. You need extra stabilization. Now, this coming year is really exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be easier to be in crypto this coming year. In fact, you'll get addicted to the dopamine of like checking your portfolio every day. Pretty much guarantee it. But at some point, it will flip around and we will go into a bear market again and we'll pull back and it will get savagely hard to stick around. And if you don't stick around, you're missing out on where the money is made, because the money is made in buying low and then selling high. Now, hopefully you've been doing that and you get some massive gains in this coming year. I know many of you are going to do exactly that. What you then do after will determine, gosh, are you going to roll that into another cycle and make life-changing gains? You're just going to take some profits from this one and, who knows, do whatever. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Randy. Appreciate it much.
I will catch you guys later. Bye, guys. Yeah.
All right. All you in the audience, I'm going to play our rap. So hope you enjoy it. If you've been a long time member, you know what this rap is all about. I wrote the words, but I had this cool guy named Charlie out of the UK. He actually recorded it because he's got good rapping skills. Just a fun way to reiterate these principles.
To the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be cracking. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.